welcome to the Irish Arsenal Gunner podcast. It's Tuesday, the 4th of October. I'm your host, as usual, Jonathan Giles. I'd like to welcome my regular weekly guest at this stage of the show, Arsenal season ticket holder and UK-based, Carl Osborne. How are you, Carl?
Good evening, mate.
Also, I'm joined by two other young Arsenal Irish Gunners, Craig Smith and Ian Gunnery. How are you, lads?
Hey, doing good, Johnny.
And I'd like to have a special mention to a special guest this week, formerly of Arsenal Fans TV and has his own podcast, Lee Judges TV. Nice to have you on the show, Lee. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having us on, that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is a massive boost to the show. I think we'd all agree to the other three guests.
Definitely 100%.
Lee has replaced our other two bald heads guests, Eamon and John Media. Definitely the better looking of the two, Lee. So I hope you take that as a compliment.
I will do. I'll take anything.
It's probably the best you'll get on this show. Aside from the compliments for myself, no, it's great to have you, Lee, and definitely all the Arsenal fans who listen to this show, give Lee Judges TV a listen to. Absolutely quality, along with our show, of course. Stiff competition, you might say. I don't want to go to last week's stats, lads. Before we get into our show, we 139 views on last week's show, 8 likes, and we're up to 1,300 listeners now. Or sorry, subscribers, sorry. So we really are flying now week on week, and with Lee on the show now this week, we hope to double them figures. Fingers crossed.
No pressure.
Lot to live up to. I'd like to thank Connor Simpson again. He always leaves comments on our show week on week. So a Dublin Arsenal fan pack we sent out to you when Martin joins us next week. You can catch our show as always on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and on our Instagram page for daily posts as well by Martin Stumble. I'd like to thank our sponsor, as always, clubgolf.co.uk. You can find our Retro Brews banana range and use Dub Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount on any purchases there. So definitely well worth a visit to their site, clubgolf.co.uk. I'm going to start with this week's quiz question because I've been told it's kind of a bit late in the show, so I'll kick it out there now. This week's quiz question is, who scored the winning goal in the 1994 UEFA Cup win over Parma? So who scored the winning goal in the 1994 UEFA Cup final win over Parma? And of course, we haven't had any answers to the last three questions. So a Dublin Arsenal fan pack, and I'm sure Lee Judges might invite you onto a show. Whoever answers this. Next, of course, we'll be awarding the 1,000 subscriber, the Gabriel Martinelli signed jersey. Martin will be giving out the answer to that. Be well worth. On this week's show, we'll be doing the sports review, 3-1 review at the weekend. Our Europa League preview against Bodo Glimt, and this weekend's Premier League preview of Liverpool. So a busy week ahead, lads. We start with our match review from Saturday. A 3-1 victory over Spurs. Goals by Partey, Jesus and Xhaka. And Kane scored penalty for Spurs, and Emerson also got sent off there with a dirty tackle on Martinelli, to say the least. It leaves us in fourth position after 8 games with 21 points. One clear of Man City. A superb start to the season, I think we'll all agree. Martinelli and Richarlison had early shots in the early stages of the match. Partey finished superbly from Saka and White teeing him up. I thought Gabriel's dive was a bit clumsy on Richarlison for Kane's panel. I think we'll agree. He's done that. Yeah. He caught out a couple of times earlier on the season, especially with Mitrovic, and he capitalised in the Fulham game as well. So I thought Saliba, though, done superbly beside him. You know, he really did cover up well for him in the match, and I can't really fault Gabriel. He's been superb alongside him this season, but he just kind of has to watch that, I think, in my opinion. Lloris then, of course, in the second half fumbles for Jesus' goal as well. He finished superbly, typical striker's goal. And then, of course, Saka beautifully finished off a great move into Lloris's left-hand corner for 3-1. I don't want to go to Lee, since you're new to the show, Lee. What did you make of the victory on Saturday?
Oh, bloody lovely. That's what it was. You know, a real good performance. I'm gonna have to say, you know, Spurs were very, very negative. We knew that they were going to be like that, so it was the emphasis was on us to break them down and that. And I thought we played really well for 20, 25 minutes, got the goal, and then the disappointment for me was the sloppy goal that we give away. But in saying that, for 10 minutes after that, I think that was the only sort of 10 minutes Spurs had. We defended that really well, and then in the second half, I have to say I've given Mikel the praise that he deserves, because we come out a different team in the second half. I thought Martinelli, by the way, was absolutely outstanding in the second half. They just could not end. He went down the line. He took the mickey out of him. I think that's why he got sent off, Emerson, because I didn't think he felt. I felt he didn't. I feel he didn't really mean to do what he done, but I just thought I'm going to give you a little tap and because you're getting on my nerves, sort of thing. And it went horrendously wrong for him, but all good for us. Martinelli, thankfully, was all right from that. Then when we got the third goal, you knew that was it, game over. I think it was game over before that, if I'll be honest. My only disappointment of the whole day was when it was 3-1. I honestly thought, oh, this could be 5 or 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm absolutely gutted that it wasn't, like, you know. I really wanted to tear them a new one, like, you know, and that would have been very, very nice to do that. But listen, it's all about winning. We got the win. The atmosphere was fantastic on the day. It's just a great, great day. I don't know about you guys over there and in Ireland, and of course, like, but I don't sleep well before these games. Don't like the game. I hate it. But afterwards, when you actually win, oh my God, it's so good. And you know, I wasted a few hours sleep on those on that Spurs, and I regret that, because they were very, very poor on the day.
Yeah. I thought one player again that stood out for me, and in the last 7 games as well, Lee, Granit Xhaka. What do you make of his turnaround since the start of the season? It's just been incredible, isn't it?
Simply sensational. I've got to say that, like, you know, you know, he's won the Arsenal fans round. He's won them round by just basically playing well last season, playing out of his skin this season. And I'm not going to lie. When I was at the Brentford game and he was clapping to the crowd and all the fans were singing his name and all that, I thought that was a poignant moment, a bit of an emotional moment, because that was the time when Arsenal sort of, like, fans sort of forgived, and there was redemption and everything like that. It went up a notch when he scored on Saturday.
He has his own chant and all, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it could get any better, and it bloody well did, like, you know what I mean? It was fantastic, you know, and credit to him. I think realistically, you know, credit to him, because he's got his head down, and to win the Arsenal fans over, it's not easy. Got to say that there was some that still probably won't forgive, but I think you know, his performances now are absolutely sensational. And do you know what's the greatest thing about it, which people haven't picked up on, is that he made the mistake for the penalty.
Yeah.
Could have cleared it. But no one said anything. I went into the bar. No one's going, "Oh, Shaq's done this, Shaq's done that." It was just none of that. Like, do you know what I mean? A year ago, they'd have been all like, they'd have wanted him, you know, to castrate the fella. Like, but this time, no one actually said anything, and they have to say that's just fantastic from him, and he's done fantastically well. You know, I can't praise him enough, and you know, he's been superb. And the other thing about him, he's a bloody machine. He just keeps going and going, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
He's never injured.
Yeah, never. No, and he doesn't play as defensive as he used to. He's playing a bit more up top, isn't he? Like, Party's covering him from when he needs to as well. I think himself and Party have really clicked this season, haven't they? Party seems to be a different player as well, doesn't he? The goal he took, that was last season, it probably went into Rose's head. You know, he's playing like comfortable. You know, we're seeing the value now why we signed him. I think, you know, we're starting to see a real touch wood injury-free party. Do you agree, Lee? Yeah.
100%. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think party makes a difference. You know, and but you know, look, listen, if them two stay fit, they've got a good chance of doing really well. Odegaard, by the way, complements that sort of three really, really well, and totally dominated their midfield. I loved it. They was doing little 1-2s around Højbjerg and Ben, and they couldn't handle it, and you could see the frustration building up and building up. So all credit to them, and like it's important that Partey stays fit as well, 100%.
Yeah, and what before I go to Ozzy, like what a turnaround from the result in May when we got, you know, batters at the lane. But what a, like when you compare that 11 to the 11 on Saturday, what the contrast is just amazing, isn't it? Like we're going into games where we expect to win now. You know, like coming Sunday now against Liverpool, I would have been worried at the start of the season when I saw that fixture. But the way Liverpool are playing now, and ourselves and us being at home, I'm very confident of getting something in that game. You know, for the first time in about 2 or 3 seasons when Liverpool have been really being toe to toe with City. You know, I really do. Like when you see the spine of Ramsdale, Saliba, Gabriel, Partey, Xhaka, and Jesus up front, and then put in Martinelli and Saka with a bit of flair. You know, what an 11. You know, and the team starts taking note of this, and deservedly so. Ozzy, you were also at the match. What did you make of another great result against Spurs at home?
Well, firstly, I've only just got my voice back, so you're lucky I'm even talking, to be honest, because it's been a rough old few days. It might have a bit to do with a few beers afterwards as well, but no, fantastic. A bit of a roller coaster that first half. I don't know what Lee thought, but the euphoria when Partey scored and then the equaliser before half time, we kind of felt a little bit down at half time. It felt like we was losing at one point. So that was the first sort of thing I took from it. But there's a massive moment in that game when Aaron Ramsdale saved early on.
Yeah.
And that save there was a massive moment in that match, because if that had gone in early doors, 1-0 up, it could have changed the whole game completely. And I was really, you know, that moment there, it didn't really get focused on match of the day much and talked about, but that was a world class save, that was, and it should have been 1-0 Spurs, and an early goal might have changed the atmosphere slightly and got us a bit nervous, but you know, we carried on from there, and what I sort of noticed in the first half quite a lot, the Saka was getting doubled up on, which was leaving that space in midfield. And that's sort of where that goal comes from, really, that Partey goal, to allow him that space, because they were doubling up on Saka constantly and just creating that space in midfield. And I had a great view of that Partey hit, but what a hit! What a hit that was to take us 1-0 up. Yeah, fantastic goal, really. So and the videos that are coming out of the clock end, the Ashburton Army, just seeing those limbs. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got an injury there, and that's the guy next to me punched me in the face when we scored that goal, and that was I think he was trying to hug me, but yeah, or he's trying to get over that beer I might have had and not paid for, but yeah, it's it was a cracking that, and then obviously the penalty came along, and I'm glad Lee pointed out, really, because that was, Gabriel's getting quite a bit of stick for that, but it was a real poor touch from Xhaka to allow sort of Gabriel to make the foul. But you know what? This is the difference in this team, and this is something that Arteta's done. The mentality he's got in that team. He's not let that knock us. We've come out of that second half and we've absolutely battered them again. Without saying, using the word battered is quite poignant, but yeah, it's and you know what? John mentioned it in a WhatsApp group. We predicted last week, Lee, that you know, that they were going to sit behind, try and hit us on the counter, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
But there's a few standout performers for me. I thought Ben White was absolutely fantastic. Again. How he's not getting in the national team, I don't know. But with performances like that, he's going to give Southgate no choice to pick him for the England team, I'll tell you. But and Saliba, talk about coolness and you know, composure on that ball. He was absolutely unbelievable. To the fact he's nutmegging people in his own 18 yards. No 21-year-old should be doing that in a North London derby.
That's confidence. That's confidence. Yeah.
But you know, but that, I think the team breeds off that. And when you've got someone doing that at the back, the rest of the team, it sort of opened them up and gives them confidence, doesn't it? So the only other thing I was going to mention is sort of an ode to Arteta, really, because Conte versus Arteta a year ago would have been laughing about it. There's no way he could tactically outlook him. We knew what Conte and Spurs were going to do, and I'll be honest to say, when Conte went to Spurs, I was a little bit worried as well. But the negative football that Spurs played, and at 3-1. I sort of said this in the bar afterwards. I said, if we'd have been 3-1 down and put 10 men behind the ball and try and damage limitation and stop them scoring another couple of goals, we'd have been slagging Arteta off and saying he needs to go.
Yeah.
Conte basically sat up and accepted a 3-1 in a North London derby. And for me as a Spurs fan, that's you can't forgive that. I wouldn't forgive that if Arteta done that to us. And I know it's a bit, it's the Italian game and sort of damage limitation, but that for me, I was watching it at 3-1, and we resorted to Tierney nearly scoring that screamer, didn't he, from distance? But that's all we was left because I had so many men behind the ball. We had to just try and hit them from distance. But yeah, overall, that was the biggest compliment for me to the Arsenal team and Arteta. But that at 3-1, they sat 10 men behind the ball and brought four subs on. 4 subs they bring on all defensive.
Right, I think it was 5, wasn't it? I think
Was it 5? Was it 5?
5.
It looked like it looked like a water break, didn't it? When they was all queuing up on the side to come on. But yeah, no, but that for me is the biggest compliment to our performance, really. That he brought a defensive unit in to sort of shut up shop and stop the score being even higher. So fair play to him. So yeah. Don't man of the match. If I'm going to so many options for man of the match. For what I would say, if you're going to make me choose, John, I'll never go around and do man of the matches. But if I was have to choose, I think it'd have to be Partey because I thought his performance was faultless, absolutely faultless from start to finish. And if you score a goal like that in North London derby, you get it, don't you? So that'd be my choice anyway.
Yeah, he had a cracking game actually. One of his effortless, I could say, in midfield. Yeah, I thought Spurs were afraid of us. I think they really went into that game. They were afraid. They were afraid of getting a spanking. I think, because even Conte said himself, listening to Sky Sports News last night, he said he didn't want to go out in the second half on the attack because he knew Arsenal would catch them out. He respected us, and that shows how far Arteta has come as a manager. When you hear that from Conte, who was proven. He was a proven manager, winning titles in different leagues, and Arteta still improving. But what he's done in the last, coming up to two and a bit years now in charge, quite amazing, really. And that Amazon documentary, shows his heart is in the club, and like 7 wins from 8 games, still big ones to come, but. Cracking start to be ahead of City and to be wiping the opposition really off the floor in every game, and the way we're going into games, just absolutely brilliant. Ian, your take on a superb North London derby victory?
Yeah, I mean, great result. Always great to beat Tottenham. Like it's great to have a reason to shut them up across the road. I think it was a Xhaka masterclass, to be honest. I think he's the way we have Xhaka from Switzerland now. We used to just have Xhaka that just caused us trouble, and I think he spent more time going off the pitch than he did staying on the pitch at times. And I think he's completely turned his career around. I'm delighted for him because you mentioned there the All or Nothing documentary, and you can see how much Arsenal means to Xhaka and how he does get affected when he doesn't have a good game. He doesn't need to be told he doesn't have a good game. He knows it himself, and I think you can see the confidence that he's gained in, I'd say, the last periods of the last season and then this season alone. You can see he's a completely different confidence level. But I think as a team collectively, you can see they all want to play for each other. Like, we have pace, we have strength. I think it's the strongest back four we've had in years, really, with the likes of Ben White and Saliba. I think I've seen a stat as well that Saliba hasn't actually lost a duel in the Premier League so far this season, which is
I saw that as well. Yeah,
which is amazing when you think about it. Like, to have a player of that quality. No doubt he'll be in the French team for the World Cup, so it'll be exciting to see how he gets on there. But I think great result. I'm also delighted that Jesus didn't get his yellow card that we were all worried about. I was kind of hoping they'd take him off sooner than they did. I was a bit worried stages there where there's a few challenges he could have got a yellow card, but we got lucky. But no, overall, I think it was a great performance. I think you can see there's, I suppose, a load of goals coming from different areas. Okay, we don't have a Haaland, unfortunately. We'd love one. But I think when you look at where the goals are coming from, it's good that like we have goals coming from defence, we have goals coming from midfield. I mean, Partey's going to get a lot of confidence from that goal. What a goal that was. I mean, out of this world, really. But I'm delighted for him because he's coming back from being injured. And I mean, he's just going to hit the ground running now. And yeah, no, I think overall you can see that there's a lot of, I suppose, space within the pitch for where we're passing as well. And I think you can see that there's very few errors that we're making now anymore. Like there's when we're conceding goals, unfortunately, like the penalty, I don't know, was it a penalty? I've seen them not given and I've seen them given as well. But I think overall it was a great performance.
Who stood out for you in that game?
I think Xhaka. I have to give it to Xhaka just for his overall work performance. I think the goal sold it for him as well. I think he was trouble for Tottenham in every department. Where as had two people being marked on Saka. Partey was free then, and Xhaka was free to just do what he would do what he does best, stay up the top and just pick passes. And I think he just was immense.
Yeah, and the goals are coming from midfield and that more this season as well. We're not only relying on Jesus, which is it's coming from all over the pitch as well. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, Saka and Partey, what a midfield pair, and if they can keep going injury free for the season. Craig, you got Lee on the show, and I'd like to thank you for that. Your take on a superb home win against Spurs.
Yeah, great result. I think we spoke about it last week. We kind of knew what way they were going to play. We knew they were going to sit back and counter us. They were really poor most of the game. I know the first 15 minutes was kind of a bit cagey. I think we were trying to suss each other out, see who was going to go for it. After the first 15 minutes, they kind of just sat back and let us have the ball. I think we probably could have scored before Partey scored. There's one or two chances before that, but Partey's goal, geez, it was unbelievable strike. You know, I think Partey tries that every game, but it normally ends up in Rose Edge. You know. But no, it was a smashing strike. That kind of settled the nerves because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was quite nervous going to this game because, you know, although sport is so negative, like you know what they can do. You know, they got a 2-2 against Liverpool last year in Anfield. And I think they beat City away as well. You know, so they are a good counter-attacking team. You know, you have to hand it to them. Although the tactics are so negative. Especially if Conte was at Arsenal now, I don't think we were having that. I don't think that style of manager is suited us. You know, Conte and Mourinho, they're very alike. Yeah. They kind of just, sit back, 2 banks of 4, and they just counter. You know, in terms of the game, I think first half, then we kind of allowed them back in. I think when we first scored the first goal, we allowed them to come back in for the last 15 minutes of the first half. They looked quite dangerous on the counter. Penalty wise, I think it was definitely a penalty. As Harry Kane always gets a penalty against us and scores now with the penalty, That's all he seems to do against us. I think he got one there in White Hart Lane in April as well,
Yeah.
But we owed these one. They done us badly in April. We started off well in that game the first 20 minutes. The red card and the penalty just, ruined the game. It's actually ironic. Conte was giving about the red card the other day, saying it ruined the game. And we were slacking our head off in April for moaning, So it's just, talk about being a hypocrite. But no, the second half, we totally dominated. Spurs didn't come out at all. They just sat back. I think they were kind of shell-shocked that we came out and played so well. The second goal, it's just great instincts from Jesus to follow that ball in. Compared to last year, Lacazette is not scoring that goal that Jesus scored the weekend. Lacazette is not following that ball in to try to score that. So it was great to go 2-1 up, and then the red card. It was a bad challenge. You know, it was kind of similar to Aubameyang's red card a few years ago at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. You know, it was kind of back of the ankle. When I first seen it initially, I didn't think it was a red card, but you know, when you see it slowing down, the subs were shown, so I think it was a definite red. And then Xhaka's goal, the towards brilliant goal. Like Lee said earlier, I am kind of annoyed that we didn't go 4, 5, 6 from up then, because we probably could have pushed ourselves. But I think we were kind of made a few changes then, kind of just keeping fresh legs in the tank for Liverpool the weekend. But yeah, I think it was Ozzy or Lee said that he made 4 substitutions. Conte, you know, once the red card was in at 3-1, and I think he kind of shut up shop, and you know, he kind of gave up in the game. He took all the big hitters off. Son, you know, I think 1 or 2 midfield lads as well, and I think it was quite disrespectful that he didn't even think that they could get back into it. You know, I think that if that was us, I don't think Arteta made any changes. But overall, I think it was a great result. And my man of the match, I'd probably go for Jesus. I just think he's transformed us this year.
Yeah,
I think he's been unbelievable. Xhaka was brilliant as well, but just the movement of Jesus, he causes panic in the opposition defence, you know. And I haven't seen that since we had Van Persie, you know.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we actually have an attacker to look up to and to aim for. Lee, it was what out for you on the day on Saturday.
Do you know what? Like, it's a great thing that we've all named 3 different matches, and I wouldn't argue with any one of you. Like, that's how good it was. You know, I thought Partey stood out. Ben White was superb on the day. I have to say that. Like, you know, Martin. You know who played really, really well and like been criticised a little bit? Xhaka. I thought he was absolutely outstanding on the flank. You know, he caused them all sorts of problems. But if I had to be pushed for a man of the match, I think probably it was Granit Xhaka, right? Just over Partey, just because he played the 90 minutes. Partey didn't. I think, like, you know, that would probably be the only thing that I would sort of say it was. But I think you could have given it to Saliba, you could have given it to Ben White, you could have given it to Xhaka, you could have given it to Zeus, you could have given it to Martinelli. Was outstanding in the second half. And I don't think no one have argued, and I think it's a great point. You know, even with Ramsdale, he didn't have a lot to do, but what he did it well. You know, so and that's what I want to see from Ramsdale. You know, not getting involved in these silly antics and everything like that. You know, that's what you want from your goalkeeper. Solid, not really know what he's doing, but when he gets called upon, he's doing the business, and that what for me typifies a top class goalkeeper to just an ordinary class goalkeeper. So I'm big up for him as well. I'm a big fan of his, by the way. I just love his personality about him. I think that, you know, maybe a couple that he's been told just to rein it in a little bit and just concentrate on playing. But it's not very often that you get a team performance when everybody was I think 7 or 8. I think everybody in the whole team.
Yeah.
There wasn't one player that had a bad game, and you know, you could say that about Spurs. There was 5 or 6, but I like to look at it and think that we smothered them. We never let them look like coming out. They did look dangerous on the break, but you know, when it's not no rocket science. When you're overloading players and you're going to get like chances to hit teams on the break. You know, they're not tactically out doing this and all that. Like, I thought our tactics, by the way, you know, people criticise Arteta and his tactics, were spot on. They looked at what they do. I don't know if you noticed in the first 20-25 minutes, they really targeted Emerson Real. You know. And I look back on that, and if you're a player, you think like, God, what I think they done was really just put it on him for the first 20 minutes, shatter his confidence a little bit, and then you know, and I just think that was very, very good thing to do. Like, you know, and then, you know, he absolutely lost it in the end. But then in the second half, with his confidence being a little bit, why they keep attacking me? Because you're crap, mate. You know what I mean? That's what they're actually saying. And then Martinelli went for him, like, you know, and he just couldn't handle it. So I just think we got that spot on really there, you know. And as I say, you know, I'm going to be really honest with you. I was worried when I see the team sheet come up. I knew he was going to win when they went 3 we went 3 in midfield, Danny went 2. I knew we was going to say win, but I knew we was going to dominate the game. Then I knew that we'd win the midfield battle, and then it was up to us to defend properly and take our chances. We done that more so in the second half. We had a little dodgy spell for about 5 minutes after they scored, but other than that, we dominated the game of football. And listen, it's not the only times that we've dominated games of football. You know, we dominated the whole game against Brentford. We played really well at Man United, and I know we lost, but we played really, really well. We've played very, very well on most games this season. I'll tell you, like the game against Aston Villa when we was only 1-0 up at half time, that was probably one of the best performances that I've seen for a very, very long while, you know. So we're playing well week in, week out, mentality's right, and there's a real I don't know how to say about it, like, you know, it's a different team I'm watching at this moment in time. It's a team that I want to get behind. I'm confident it's going to do well, and they're a pleasure to follow up and down the country at this moment in time because they all want it. I said it's a great scene. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter, but it was outside the Tottenham. Where you come outside of Tottenham, where you go to the Tottenham, the players come out there. Sometimes they get stopped at the lights and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, guys, and then Shinchenko gets stopped there, and they all start singing his name, and his wife gets out of the sunroof and starts singing. You know what I mean? That's never happened, and all that. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a real sense of togetherness with the players. The players are bought into it with the fans as well, and it's just fantastic. You know what I mean? And it does help when you're winning and playing well. Of course it does. But do you know what? If these guys had a bad game and an off day, do you know what? You tend to just give them a little bit of a leeway because they're being like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I think that's a lot to do with it. I like these players. There was a time, and I've said this before, that going back to the Ian Wright days, Kevin Campbell, Paul Merson, and all that. If they was across the M25, I'd risk my life to get across there to just say hello to them, like, you know. The players over the last 4 or 5 years, if they walk through my back garden, I'd draw the curtains. I weren't that bothered with it, like, you know what I mean. So it's a real
togetherness. So he's still there, Lee, yeah?
Did we lose him?
I think we might have lost him.
I think he might have went blank there. Maybe I think I heard the
It's
Windows icon going there to say it's switching off. Did you? I thought I heard.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, he might be.
I think he'll probably be back on though, I imagine.
Yeah.
What
it's
we'll
great.
say.
It's great having Lee honest. He gives a great insight. Being a lifelong Arsenal fan, a bit longer than those lads, but yeah, I do agree with him. There's a togetherness, isn't there? There's a real feel. The young lads, Arteta's brought in the players, most importantly, that he wants in the squad, and they're buying into it, which is most important.
What I will say to what he said there about Tollington and Zinchenko and his wife celebrating outside, right? I was there the day when Arteta was being shouted at and given abuse outside of Tollington.
Yeah,
I was actually to the other side of the car.
I
was the other side of the car, and me and my mate Dave, we literally were cheering Arteta and clapping him because he was getting so much abuse. And you know what, we hadn't given him a chance. And he was at the point when, you know, Arteta out was out trending and stuff like that. And what an opposite situation we've got now, and that just shows really how he's turned it round. He's turned the club. The mentality is instilled in the club. I think the Amazon documentary did a world of good to show what he was doing. I think everyone's brought into that. I know we was quite also I was quite apprehensive with the Amazon documentary because I thought it was going to be heavily edited, and but you know what, it's completely hooked me in and shows what he's doing. And credit to him for that. And the ground's buzzing everywhere. All the pubs are buzzing. Arteta's done that.
Yeah.
Johnny, can I just mention how good was William Saliba?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, he's super, isn't he?
No,
absolutely. He's just gelled in like he's never been. He's always been there, isn't he? Like he's like a Tony Adams.
Yeah,
That was
He was just so good on Saturday. Like there was counters where he stopped himself.
yeah.
I think there was one time I think Christian Romero and Kane were 2 against 1 again, and Saliba it just looked so easy for him. You know, this lad is 21 and he looks as good as Virgil van Dijk was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's saying something, you know. Like I love him, and I'm quite worried that
I am.
contract because all the big boys are going to come looking for him.
Like I would have been worried a couple of years ago, but I think players would want to come to Arsenal. You know, I think it's between us and City. I think we're the most attractive of teams in terms of style, the football we're playing. You know, like by far the best 2 teams in the league at the moment. You know, when you see how bad Chelsea, United, and Liverpool are doing, you know, I was listening to the stand last night with Eamon Dunphy, and Liam Brady was on it, sorry, and he was saying he can't remember when an Arsenal team has won 7 of their first 8 games, not even under Wenger. You know, and neither can I actually. When he actually just said that, like it's been a remarkable start, really. And even that defeat we did mention a few weeks back, we played well enough even for a draw. I think, as I said, if Martinelli's goal stood, I think we would have went on to win that game. You know, because the momentum was definitely in our court in that game. And as usual at Old Trafford, decisions go, 1 or 2 bad decisions go again. And even like it shows Saliba even took his hand up saying, I had a bad game to the fans and it won't happen again. You know, like you wouldn't have got that. See, they would have went hiding. You know, players would have went hiding and wouldn't have just said, right, we lost. But there's definitely this anger, even when we lose a goal. You can see the anger in Ramsdale, can't you? Like he's angry that he's conceded, and whatever. Arteta's brought in a kind of Guardiola mentality that it's win or nothing, you know. And the documentary title is brilliant, all or nothing, and you can see that in every game since pre-season, it has been all or nothing, you know. And he won't accept nothing but 100% commitment. Like when you see the way he got rid of Aubameyang last January, that took some balls being a new manager, you know, new enough manager at a big club to say, look, your best player, you're not getting in my team if you don't follow our disciplinary, you know, and our rule and our ethic at the club. And you can see by Aubameyang's attitude, he's just a great player and all, but he just doesn't really care. He's just there for the money. You can see that at Barca. He's happy to walk away from a club and he just gets sick of it, you know. And they're not the players we want at Arsenal. And Lee, you've been a lifelong Arsenal fan. You know that yourself. Only if you don't buy into Arsenal, you don't buy into nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Everything just completely dropped out there. Like it's a really weird thing. Like, you know, just completely went down. Everything, like, you know. So, but I'm back. Yeah. I totally agree. Look, you know, I find it very, very hard to criticise Aubameyang because of, you know, what he done for us and everything like that. But something just weren't up there. I just think when you have a look at Aubameyang and you have a look at what Jesus is doing, that's the sort of what you wanted, the energy. You know what I mean? Like Lacazette, for instance, tried to do what Jesus did, but he just hasn't got that physicality to do it, like, you know. And I think that's why we're a lot better now, because we've got that. What we've got is someone that does the dirty work as a centre forward, like Lacazette did, but then gets on the end of things and like that. I will say this though with Jesus, and it's something that I think Arsenal should look at, is that there was a time when the ball was whipped across by Saka, and he was on his heels because he was tired, you know what I mean, by that stage, because he's working so hard for the team. So, you know, I'd rather him, but not. I don't want it to be like a complete and utter goal scorer, but like, you know, just sometimes just calm down the work rate. Sometimes a little bit unnecessary, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But so when you're in those moments, you can score goals. But I think that Arteta's done a clever move. He's got young, hungry players in there, all very, very talented, all the same age, sort of in and around the same age, 21, 22, 23, 24. And they're what I feel that they've got is that or what they're being told is, look, but buy into this and we can grow as a team and be a very, you know, a bit like Ajax were a few years ago. Yeah. And then the good thing about Arsenal is that they'll be able to keep those players because they're a bigger club, like, you know. So I think the next 2 years could be very, very exciting for Arsenal. The unfortunate thing about that is, so will Man City, but but you know, someone's got to challenge. You know, if you look at it, Liverpool have challenged them over the last couple of years. It's similar to what I think that we're going to do now. Like, you know, I'm not saying that Liverpool are not, but I think that we've got an exciting young team that's going to, you know, push Manchester City all the way. Whether we get the trophies that we deserve, I can't say that, but I think that we'll give it a good go. And I think you need hungry players that believe in what's going on. And I think that he's got that with these players now. They do believe in what they're doing. And also, come on, you know, let's give ourselves a little boost. Some of us, and me included, didn't think that it was gonna work under Arteta, but now I think that we're all believing and buying into it as well. Like, you know what I mean? So not only has he got the players buying into it, he's managed to turn around the supporters to buy into it as well. Like, you know, and so listen, all credit to everybody, and you know, it's fun. It's fun watching the Arsenal at the moment, and that's great.
So, interesting point in what you said about Man City, though. They're going to have their eyes on the Champions League this year. And the good thing about us being in Europa is we can rest players.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing their best players every week.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Sunday, aren't they?
Yeah. My only concern at the moment, right, and I was having a laugh about it on a show today, is that we've had a fantastic start, 7 wins out of 8. And we're only 1 point up in the top of the league, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just that's the standards that we've got to, you know what I mean? Like, we've got to win 7-8 games on the spin, so just keep with this bloody team, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so that's going to be difficult, but that's the job that we've got to do, you know. And with that, you know, maybe the pressure comes off us a little bit, and you know, it's on them because there's expectation for them to win the Champions League, expectation to win the Premier League. You know, do you know what I'm going to say now? I'm disappointed that we ain't got them in a couple of weeks because
I was going to say that there. Yeah,
in between all this big chunk of Champions League football, where we could have rested maybe a few before going into that game, I wanted to take them on. I wanted to see how good we bloody are. Like, you know, we'll see it a little bit on Sunday because you know, I think Liverpool are there for the taking, but they're still a good side, never to be underestimated. But this is a time where we've been, do you know what I mean? We've been a little bit sketchy like they've been in the past, and that when we've gone up to Anfield, then they've spanked us. And I want to see Arsenal do that to them. You know, we've been a little bit vulnerable, like, you know what I mean? So hopefully, like that can happen again, like, you know. So and we can get a result over them.
Yeah, 100%. I would actually like him to play City, believe it or not, as well, as I think it would have been a really good game. 2 teams in top form. Yeah, uncertain, of course, when that game is going to be played probably in the new year by the looks of it now with everything going. But yeah, I would have loved to see a head-to-head. You can see Arteta had a great teacher in Guardiola. He's learning off him all right. The result, of course, on Saturday has left us a point ahead of City on 21 points. We've scored 20 goals and conceded 8, and City have scored 29, conceded 9. So when you compare that, we really are scoring a lot more goals than we were. You know, we're starting to hammer teams now as well. Go for the kill when it's there. So that's really refreshing. And as well as that, a really young team aside from Xhaka, probably Xhaka. The rest of the team is really in their low 20s to mid 20s, aren't they? So it really does bode well for the future. We can hold on to that squad. That concludes that one for us. We move on to the Europa League preview this coming Thursday, 8 o'clock kickoff against Bodo Glimt of Norway. They're in top spot at the moment at 4 points. We're second with 3. This is only our second game. This will be their Bodo's third. They won 4-1 at the weekend against Lillestrøm in their own league, Norwegian league. They're second at the moment on 45, but Molde at the moment are ahead with 60. They lost a few good players there at the end of last season, and that's kind of cost them a bit. With us being at home, lads, I can really only see with the form we're in, and I hope Marquinhos gets a start as well up front because I really liked him against FC Zurich. It can only see a comfortable enough home win, but these games can be tricky. But I'd probably go for 3 or 4 myself in this one. Lee, since you're new to the show as always, how do you see the game going on Thursday?
Yeah, I do think we'll make lots of changes. I think Holding coming at central defence. Tommy Aston will definitely have a game. Kieran Tierney will come back in. It'll be interesting who plays in the other centre half spot, whether he goes with Gabriel or Saliba. I do think that, you've got Vieira coming into midfield, probably in place of Odegaard. Be interesting. Obviously, Lokonga will come in as well. Be interesting again who plays that other midfield role, whether it be Xhaka or whether it be Partey. I'd like to see Partey having a nice little rest, if I'll be honest, and working on his fitness. And I think the front three have changed as well. I think that, I'm desperate to see Marquinhos again, because he was fantastic in the first game. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Obviously, Eddie plays. It's got a start. And I think on the left-hand side, it'd be interesting, because Smith Rowe's out now. We had to play Martinelli last time, but Nelson was on the bench, I noticed, on Saturday. So let's give him a run out and let Martinelli, Jesus, put their feet up, but be on the bench just in case things ain't going too well, because we need to win this game because we're at home. And if we need to be, let the big guns come on, a little bit like we did in the last game as well. So that's what I said. And do you know what? I'm excited to see the younger players. I'm excited to see marketing. I'm excited for it all, So it'll be very, very good and enjoyable,
Yeah, as you said yourself, we're missing the second game against PSV. There, this is a back-to-back games. I think these aren't they? This Thursday, next Thursday. Hopefully we can. I could only really see us topping the group really at the end, but you never know. Obviously, how do you see the game on Thursday yourself? And I know Bodo Glimt they can go about their business. They've gone about their business quite quietly. A kind of a Rosenborg of the 90s. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a gimme. I don't. Certainly, if you put out a weakened side, I don't think it's a gimme. They've played 28 games, I think, haven't they, this season?
Yeah,
so they're quite heavily into their season. But so I think it's going to be, like I say, it's put 3 or 4 past them. I don't think it's going to be that far ahead. I'm thinking probably a two goal win. Really, so that's sort of Lee and yourself have said. Marquinhos, really looking forward to seeing Marquinhos. I'm really looking forward to see Fabio Vieira, and as always, I love to see Eddie up front, giving a shot as well. And we're going to see Sambi come in, Rob Holding and his beautiful hairline. And that's one of the things I enjoy about Europa, just seeing more Rob Holding. I do like Rob Holding. I've got a little fan crush on him. It's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward just to getting back there, and that's what I like about Europa. I do like seeing the other players coming through, and it would be good to see Nelson. I think if Nelson came in, I think that'd be fantastic to see.
Yeah.
I can see Lee is crying out for Rob Holding's hairline there, right?
very jealous of that line.
Lee, I don't know if you know, mate, but I've been pushing for a Turkish hair transplant sponsor for this show for about 6 weeks now.
Listen, 20 years ago, I'd have been right all over that. I'll tell you.
We'll get it one day, Jonathan.
We're not on the same red card at White Hart Lane for his hairstyle, anyway. I don't go to Craig. What do you make? I say you're looking forward to seeing Marquinhos. Are you on Thursday with Eddie?
Yeah. Great game against Zurich. I think Marquinhos could be another Martinelli for us. I think we only got him for 3 or 4 million. We got him off Sao Paulo, and I think Wolves actually had a deal agreed for him.
Yeah.
And we took him from Wolves Noses. So look, a good young player, Brazilian. Out of the Brazilian core we have here at Arsenal now. Looking forward to seeing him and Vieira in particular. Was brilliant against Brentford a few weeks ago. So looking forward to seeing them too, especially as I don't think this game is a gimme. Bodo Glimt are a decent side. They beat Celtic in Celtic Park 3-1 a few months last year in the Europa Conference, and they beat Roma 6-2 2 years ago. So they're well capable of top results, but I think that we should enough to comfortably beat them. Especially if we get into the game, they might kind of sit back and kind of put pressure on them. I think if they go for a scoreline, I think go for 2-0 Arsenal. I think they'll be a lot better than people think they're going to be.
Yeah. You see the game.
Yourself, is it?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, no, you're grand. Yeah, no, I think same as the lads are saying. I don't think it's going to be a gimme at all. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be closer than people are expecting. I think it'll be probably 1, maybe 2-1 at best. I think you can see in games both in the Champions League and the Premier League, anyone can beat anyone this season as you see the likes of Liverpool against Brighton. Like, you know, you can see just like if you don't play well, anyone can beat you. So I think definitely we need to be on our guard for that. I'm really excited to see Marquinhos and the Eddie Nketiah up front as well. I think they're going to be players for the future for sure. And I think it's great to see, because you can see the players now that have played in Europa League over the last 3-4 years that are coming into the first team now. And it's okay, it's not the tournament we want to be in. We all want to be in the Champions League, but I think we need to make the most of what we have, and it's a way to rest players where we can. I think because we have squad depth which we haven't had before, where you can say our Europa League team is just as good as our Premier League team. I think we have a good amount of youth coming through, and I think it's definitely going to be an exciting game. I think we definitely need to be wise. I know no game is a gimme, but we need to be making sure that we're not putting players that are at risk of any kind of injury right before the Liverpool game. So I think they need to be smart there in that way. But I think, look, it's a great chance if we get 3 points that we can potentially top the group early on. And I mean, look, if we top the group, we don't play again until March. So I mean, that's a massive thing as well, to have just that bit of leeway where you're not playing 2 games every week. And, you know, that just helps keep players fit, keep players ticking over, especially after the World Cup period. So I'm hoping for a decent win on Thursday.
Yeah, here. Yeah. With the games in hand, with the game in hand over PSV, I think it's the end of October, isn't it? We play them October 27th. Yeah, it's a real big 4 games. I think we actually played 5 games in the next 5 weeks. I think, we finish up as FC Zurich at home on the 3rd of November or something. So it's a big 5 weeks in Europe for us as well. Of course, to give the young lads a chance as well, which is nice, you know, to see how they get on in it. Then it would give Arteta a headache as well. Selection worries are always welcome. That game is live on BT Sports and Virgin Media 2 here in the Republic, 8 o'clock kickoff. That brings me back to the quiz question. Don't answer this, lads. For the amount of comments we get back, who scored the winning goal in the 1994 UEFA Cup final win over Parma? Easy enough for all of us, but hopefully a few more will answer. So please, listeners, please just give an answer. Even the Spurs fan that answered, he made a comment saying that Spurs would win. You might get a Dublin Arsenal fan pack for being so cheeky, saying that you'd win. And there might be even a Rob Holding hair transplant for Lee if we don't get any answers. I like the Steve Bow look though, it's nice. We move on to the match preview of Sunday's Premier League game. Always a tasty affair against Liverpool, 4:30 on Sky Sports Premier League. With ourselves top on 21 points. Liverpool are 9th with 10 points. Of course, our last meeting was back in March. 2-0. Yota and Firmino scored in that game. But a complete turnaround from ourselves this season. Liverpool, I think losing Mane was a big loss to them. I think, you know, and looking at the body language of a lot of them, that hunger that isn't really there that over the last 2 or 3 seasons. I think that intensity chasing City for the last 3 or 4 seasons is starting to catch up with him. Another season older, and Van Dijk starting to get cut out that high line. He's starting to get cut out by the pacer. There's a thought. Trossard had a great game on Saturday. And I'd be a lot more confident going into this game. I don't know about yous on Sunday. I think we'll sneak a win here, lads. And I know I'll probably pay for this next week, but I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think we'll sneak this one. I think we've enough about us, and I think Liverpool, they're there for the taking, as Lee said. I'll go to you, Lee. How do you see the game going on Sunday?
Yeah, I do see it like this. I've actually seen one as well. Like, you know, I just it won't be easy. I think Liverpool have got, they've got, of course, got dangerous players, but I think a couple of their dangerous players have not been quite ticking this much. I think you're dead right. They're missing Sane, but they've still got Jota, they've still got Diaz, they've still got a couple of players in there that are very, very good up front. Obviously, they've got top players.
Yeah.
But I again just think that if we get into the midfield, we get the battle right in the midfield. I think that we've got a very good chance of dominating there again. And I think we've got to be patient against Liverpool. Very careful. If we're careful enough, I think, and take our chance again. You know, take chances. We'll be all right. I think it's a big test in the Spurs game. I know that what you're talking about and all that. I think Spurs is a test because it's a North London derby, but Liverpool are really up there. And guys, if we can win this one, we go 14 points.
Yeah.
14 points. You know, get your head around that. That's
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
Massive.
The Arsenal police wouldn't have anything to say then.
So that's sorry.
Said the Arsenal police wouldn't have anything to say then. Say we haven't played any of these things. Who have we played?
I think the league is over for Liverpool already. I think when you go that far behind either, you know, City or ourselves, which thankfully we're in a position to say, I don't think there's any coming back really from that. You know, you have a bad start.
I agree.
You know, you have a bad start to a season. I think the first half of the season always dictates whether the second half is going to be strong or not. Yeah. Yeah, I really can see yourself sneaking a 2-1. I really do. You know, I really am confident. So I probably won't be on the show if we don't win.
You know, they're going for, you know, like top place. It could be 14 points clear of one of your top 4 rivals. That's a big thing. It's a massive game Sunday. You know, it's a massive game. They're all big games, but this one's just that bit bigger because it's one of our top 4 rivals. Let's face it, at the beginning of the season, you would have said Manchester City and Liverpool are given the top 4.
Yeah.
Now, not so much, and especially if we beat Liverpool, then there's doubts whether they could be a top 4, and that opens up another phase top 4. So let's hope it's one that we can take advantage of.
Can I ask you, Lee, before I move on to the others? Were you at the game in '89 when we snatched the title at Anfield?
Unfortunately, I wasn't. I was at the game before the Wimbledon game, and I was at the game at probably the week before. But I did have a ticket, but I said, yeah, blah blah blah. Take them.
That's sickening. That I could never lift myself again.
What a night. We went down to Highbury after the game, you know, so we enjoyed it, but there's always that respect of not going, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. What a night that was. Yeah, that brought my love affair to Arsenal, that match. Ozzy, how do you think the game on Sunday will go? A lot more optimistic than in previous seasons, I say.
Yeah, I think it's a massive marker for where we're going to be. Like, I think for us, it's an opportunity to show everyone where we're at. I have a dig at Spurs. We're finally playing someone decent, so we can show a test against them. But yeah, so it's good to have a proper team to play against, to be honest, this season. Look, Liverpool always turn up to the big games, don't they? And I think I'll be showing William Saliba videos of Jota because he seems to be able to grab a goal against us, don't he? So yeah, look, they've dropped points. they've dropped a few points off Brighton, Everton, Palace, and Fulham. I think they've dropped points to this season. They don't look as confident, and I agree with you. I think Mane's a massive loss.
Yeah.
Salah's getting older, or doesn't look as dangerous as he was. You watch him score now, but look, it's going to be another big test for us. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm more confident, certainly after the weekend, about how we're going to go into this. I've really boringly predicted a 2-1, but I'm going to change that to 3-1, so I'm different. So if I do get it, I can say I got a better prediction. So I'm going to go 3-1 again. I know it's 2 in a row, but why not? Why not?
Another stat to throw out there: Liverpool haven't won at all away from home this season.
Oh God!
That's. I hope I haven't put the
Don't say
boxes
that.
on. I did say we beat Spurs, lads, and everyone really over that. I've been right in every prediction this season, thank God. Craig, how do you see this one? It's always a tasty affair, always plenty of goals. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going out to the game on Sunday, thankfully, so I'm looking forward to it. Look, it's both teams are going to want the ball. Both teams like to have possession, so it'll be a bit different to the game against Spurs. It'll be interesting to see if they do sit back and try counter us with Salah, Diaz, and Jota. I just had a quick look at their team. They're playing Rangers now, and they're going 4-2-3-1. So a bit different formations than what they normally do. They normally do 4-3-3.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, are they going to go with that on Sunday? If they go with that on Sunday, it could play into our hands. Whereas we might be able to dominate the midfield more, because I think the games previously against Liverpool, their midfield has just been too good, for our midfield, and they've dominated. Even going back to the game there in March, I don't even think they're that. I think we were actually the better team. But
I thought that. Yeah, the 2 goal. Yeah, better the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thiago, I think, had a good game that day, and he, I think he kind of, he dominated the midfield. I think we could have been missing Party that day as well. So it'd be great to have Party back on Sunday. I'm quietly confident on Sunday. Like Liverpool aren't the same team, as you were all saying. They're missing Mane big time. Mane was such an important player for them, and the way he pressed, and the energy he gave that team, they're missing it big time. Like Darwin Núñez can't even get a game from at the moment. He's a completely different player to what Mane was. So, look, Liverpool, they're still a good side, If they were to get a result against us on Sunday, it wouldn't surprise me, because, like you said, they do turn up in the big games, and if they lose, realistically, they're not going to catch us, 14 points clear of them. If they beat us, it goes down to 8. It's debatable whether they could still catch us or not, but I'm quietly confident. I reckon maybe 2-1 as well. I think it'll be a tight game.
Yeah.
The first goal will be very important, I think if we get a goal early, it could frustrate them, and they might kind of drop their heads because the way they've been going this year. But we can definitely get at that back line,
Yeah.
Van Dijk isn't the same as he was last year. I watched parts of the game against Brighton on the weekend, and the defence, been dreadful. Like Trent Alexander-Arnold, his positioning is just, schoolboy. I think Martinelli always gives him a good game, so it'd be interesting to see now how they get on Sunday. So I hope Martinelli and Jesus give them the run around, because Liverpool have lost us too many times before, especially Van Dijk and Matip. So I'm looking forward with the new team. Hopefully everyone stays fit and no injuries in Thursday against Border Glint. So if it was a guess prediction, I'd go 2-1 Arsenal, and I'll say that quietly because I couldn't next week.
Yeah, with Liverpool playing ourselves on Sunday, they play play Manchester City the following week, and if they lose both games, it's good night towards their chances of even making the top 4, even possibly. And who would have said that?
That'd even be a good night for Klopp.
Yeah, I think he's had this 8th season thing, hasn't he, where it's all fallen apart. 7 seasons, 30. Yeah. No, I think they're spent. I think they've had their 3 or 4 years, of high intensity stuff. Really, they've battered teams like City week on week, and it's very hard to keep that up with an aging team. Ian, massive game Sunday again, and another big test for us as well. How do you see the game going?
Yeah, no, it definitely is a massive test. I mean, I suppose it is one of the big teams that they so-called say we've yet to play. I think it's definitely, I agree with the lads. I think it's going to be a very tight match. I think quietly, as Craig would say as well, I think it'd probably be 1-0, 2-1. I don't think there's going to be a lot in it. There's never really a lot in it between us anyway in the games gone by. I do think it's the best time to play them. I think Lee mentioned it as well. I would have loved to play City before the break. I think we're with the form that we have, I think we're capable of beating anyone. I think when you look at the defence that Liverpool have, it's probably their worst defence for a while. I think it'd be fair to say. I mean, when you see Trent Alexander is completely out of position, he's giving away sloppy passes, and I mean,
just as we're speaking, Trent Alexander-Arnold scored for Liverpool.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, there's the chorus written already, lads. Democracy's on Sunday.
You know what? At least it's out of his system. That's the best way we can put it.
That's out of the way, yeah.
Yeah. You know, look, if he's got to score, let's be glad that it's tonight and not on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you know, look, he might get cocky. Here's hoping. No, I just think, look, they regardless, they leave a lot of space, and I think we've a lot of pace in our forward line with the likes of Jesus and the likes of Saka. I think there's just, it's going to be a carbon copy, I feel, of Tottenham. I feel if we can score early, I think we're going to put a lot of pressure on them, and they're going to have to, I suppose, double mark men. And I think that's just it's going to open up a lot of space, and I feel that's where we can kill them. Like, it's just, we just have to be careful in one sense that we don't try and overdo it. Like, there's no need to have all the possession in the game. Let them have the possession and just do the simple things right. Because I think if we go and just try and get 3 or 4 past them at the get-go, they do have players that can hurt us, and I think we'd be naive not to think so. But I think man for man, I think we definitely are probably the best setup to beat them than we have been for years. So somewhat confidently, I would say I feel we're going to win about 1-0, 2-1.
Yeah, it's very close predictions, lads.
I think it's really important we don't lose this game.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah,
great to get the win.
Yeah. But yeah, get something out of the game.
If it's a draw, it's not the end of the world, you know.
Yeah, it still keeps us up there.
If we lose Sunday, you know, against Liverpool, you'll have all the pundits and Sky and all that saying, "Oh, I told you so," you know. You know, which is always the way with Arsenal, because Sky and all that, you know, pundits, they're all waiting for us to lose.
Yeah.
They're all waiting for us to lose against Liverpool on Sunday. So if we win, or even if we get a decent result to draw, you know, it'll stop that talk. So I think it's really important we don't lose this game Sunday.
I think if we get something at Liverpool, lads, on Sunday, the following games after that is Leeds, Southampton, Forest, which you'd expect to get maybe seven, if not 9 points out of them. Then Chelsea away, and then it's Wolves then, and then you've got the break. They're all very winnable games. Even the Chelsea game now, the way the season that's panned out for them. I know Potter's there, but they're all winnable games. You know, you could be going into that break, the World Cup break, top, and maybe, you know, clear the rest. Obviously City chasing behind, but the rest from tour down, you could be well ahead of them. You know, it's scary stuff, you know. I haven't had like this since 2004. I've lost 20 years of my life hoping we'd win the league again. Half Liverpool must be fucked at this stage, so I can't wait another 20 years. I know Liverpool waited 30, so I feel their pain. Yeah, so that game is on Sunday, lads. Fingers crossed that we win that one, and that's of course 4:30 Sky Sports. September goal of the month, lads. I need to get your ones on this. I'm going to go for Marquinhos against Zurich myself. He took it really well, and what it meant to him when you saw him in tears as well when he finished. I'm going to give it to him. Lee, your goal of the month for September?
Yeah, I'll go along on it. Oh, great finish, great put up with the ball, like yeah. I'm on as well.
Happy days. We agree on something here. It's all going too well, this. Ian, your goal of the month for September?
Yeah, you're gonna laugh. I do agree as well. I thought that was a superb goal for Martinez against Eric. That's why I was laughing as soon as you said it. I was like, he's actually going to be delighted here.
I never get anyone agreeing we were golden in one. Thank God. 2 out of 4. Ozzy, your goal of the month, clean sweep, is it?
No, I'm going to go so different. I'm going to go Gabriel Jesus against Brentford, the header.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the header, yeah.
Because that Xhaka pass and the header was just something special. So I'm going to go for that.
Craig, goal of the month for September.
I'd be different as well. I think my pick would be Fabio Vieira against Brentford.
Yeah.
It's a good shout.
Got about that one.
Yeah, I had as well.
It was a short month, lads. September. There wasn't many to pick from, but they were all crackers, which makes a change for us. Is there anything else, lads, regarding Arsenal or any ticket news or anything you'd like brought up on the show or anything?
I'll just do a nod to the Arsenal women's team who progressed in the Champions League since we last spoke, haven't they? They beat Ajax 1-0 away, 3-2 in aggregate. Goal I give for them. And they've got a Champions League draw against Lyon, Zurich, and Juventus in the group stage. So well done. So well done to them, though, for getting through that. And it was a nasty game. I don't know if anyone watched it, but it was some nasty challenges going there. And Beth Mead ended up with concussion. I think she ended up in hospital with concussion. But they got through that. So well done to them for that, because that was a tough away fixture, I think.
Would you like to mention anything, Lee, on the Arsenal women's side of things?
I went to the Arsenal game, London Derby, the 4-0. Thoroughly enjoyed. Really, really good game. The atmosphere was, like last Saturday, enjoyable. I tell you now, the Arsenal are a bloody good footballing team.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. Katie McCabe, one of our own.
Yeah.
Had to give her a shout out.
Very.
Yeah.
Still trying to get on the show.
Katie McCabe, are you listening? Lee Judges is here. He's calling out your name.
You ain't got a number, have you, Lee?
Lee, would you be able to get Kevin Campbell on first?
Yeah, I cannot. Kevin's really. He's off to Kuala Lumpur, doing some work for all that. But when he comes back, I'll have a word for you.
Perfect, mate. Cheers. Thanks.
That'd be super, Lee. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That wraps up a busy show. Thoroughly enjoyable, lads. Of course, before we head off, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and on our Instagram page. And thanks to our sponsor, clubgolf.co.uk. Find all their range on their site and enter Dublin Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount. Of course, keep hitting the like and subscribe button and keep getting us ahead of the game. With us having a brilliant season, we'll be at 2,000 subscribers in no time. My fun and nice hairline for Ozzy and Lee as the season progresses. I'd like to thank my guests, particularly Lee. Thanks very much for coming on. Pleasure having you on, Lee Judges. Thanks to my weekly guests, Ozzy, Ian, and Craig. Thanks again for coming on this week, lads. And we'll catch you all again next week on another busy show. So have a good week and thanks again.
Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, the Gunners.
Thanks, Lee.